There is no such thing as a disconnected gaming device these days. You either are playing online or you're temporarily disconnected and you're going to resync later. Games that don't leverage the cloud probably aren't going to be here tomorrow. So here to talk about Google Play's cloud solutions are Bob and Greg.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that intro. So I'm Greg. This is Bob. We want to take you through Google Play games and a little bit about what we've been up to in the gaming business recently. So I want to start a little bit about talking about mobile gaming momentum that we're seeing on our side. Right now, I make the claim that it's the most important time for any game developer to be publishing their game on Android. You stand to reach an unprecedented audience of mobile gamers. And to quantify this, you heard earlier that we reached the milestone of 900 million active installs. That's an impressive number. But what does that mean for gamers specifically? For this audience, it means this. 3 in every 4 Android users are playing games. That's a huge number. By publishing your game on Android and through Google Play, you're reaching a massive addressable audience of mobile gamers. More importantly, however, is even though that's such a massive number, how do we create those memorable gaming experiences? And when you look at the long arc of history in games, great experiences in gaming have been played out in tabletops, arcades, and couches everywhere. And they all have this common thread. They bring people together. And through bringing people together, they help build pride in those accomplishments that you see in every day. And the question that comes up is, has mobile risen up to that challenge? And so mobile gaming has kind of become a little bit of a picture of this. The kid playing a mobile game in solace, by themselves. His poor cat has nobody to play with. And to the extent that there's social activity there, sometimes the social activities are very contrived. And when you think about what great gaming experiences have been in history, they look a little bit more like this. This is a picture that a friend of mine said to me of a bar in the Midwest. If somebody can identify the bar, I'd love to know the name. And they have pinball machines and classic arcade titles that people play on tabletops, and they combine that with alcohol, which makes things fantastic. But fundamentally, what this is about is in a very simple social experience. It's bringing people together, experiencing gameplay together, and we want gaming to feel more like this over time. And this is the premise for Google Play Games, Google's game platform for Android, iOS, and the web. We're social from the start. We're cross-platform and cross-screen, and we bring you the best of Google. Google's fantastic at mobile. We're great at cloud infrastructure. Let us do those things for you so you can focus on making great games. For developers, Google Play Games is more concretely a set of services that enhance gameplay. 4 services that we announced at Google I/O this year are Achievements, Leaderboards, Cloud Save, and real-time multiplayer. Let me talk about those in a little bit more depth. Achievements are this mainstay feature for many game platforms now. You define meta goals for your players depending on your progression and the mechanics in your games, and it drives deeper engagement long after the content of your game has been experienced. Our platform supports locked achievements, revealing them at key moments in time, and incrementing them over time to create those larger meta goals. And from a user experience perspective, you see achievements being shown in the in-game experience and through our Google Play Games app, so that way they don't have to see this, pop open the game to see that experience. Leaderboards are an incredible way, as we all know, to encourage competition amongst friends and at a global scale. Our leaderboards pivot on 2 aspects. One is social, and the other one is a public global leaderboard. Social leaderboards allow you to see a leaderboard of your friends, high scores that you can compete with even though you may not be #1 in the world. And because it leverages G+, it inherently has privacy controls for users to control who can actually see their gameplay activity. Third service that we announced was Cloud Save. And Cloud Save's premise is pretty simple. We would never want somebody to play level 1 ever again. If you finished a game on level 50 or you retain level 50 on your phone, and you switch later to a tablet device, you shouldn't have to go back and start over again. You should be able to pick up where you left off. And Cloud Save allows you to accomplish that. It's a simple back-end key blob store for developers, 4 keys of 128K apiece. Allows you to squirrel away game progress, game settings, and other key data for your users. It's also cross-platform, available on Android, iOS, and the web. And the fourth service is real-time multiplayer. Real-time multiplayer brings 4-player peer-to-peer simultaneous activity to your games. As we all know, real-time multiplayer has an incredible way of driving engagement. Also leveraging G+, you can invite your friends to a game, and they receive a notification as a call to action. And if they don't have that game, it acts as a great discovery mechanism for your titles. It will direct them to the Play Store to download so they can get into the action very quickly, or launch them into the game itself so they can start playing right away. We also support immediate auto-matching at an anonymous level, so people who are looking for a game immediately and don't have a friend to play with can always find somebody to play with. For consumers, Google Play Games is also an Android app. Last week, we launched this app into the Google Play Store. It acts as this one hub for all your Android gaming. You can discover great games and all the games that you're engaged in, all the games you've played with so far, find new people to play with. Without opening games, you can track your progress, decide what you want to tackle on next, and launch your games from that experience. And it acts as a key discovery mechanism for game developers. You can discover what your friends are playing and what games are recommended through the app. So with that overview, I want to hand it over to Bob, who's going to talk a little bit about the developer ecosystem that we see today.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. So Greg described the product that we just launched, and there have been a number of developers that have started to implement with us, and so I'm going to talk about some of those early developer experiences. And Greg also shared just the amazing stats around Android activations and the number of gamers on our platform. We'll talk a little bit more on my slides about the revenue opportunity on the platform. And so here, if you measured Google Play in-app revenue in piles of cash, so last year your pile of money was about this big. We've seen amazing growth lately, and so just in a 12-month period, a 7x increase in the in-app payment revenue going through Google Play. It's a really fun time to be working on the platform, both for ourselves and for the developers that are making real businesses on the platform. Now, with that financial strength, we're obviously investing in the platform. So all of the services in the app that Greg shared with you, and I wish, so that should say 32. We're running a little bit off the thing there. So for those of you who are wondering, there are more than 2 games that have integrated the Google Play Game Services. But yeah, so we're putting that investment into a variety of products, and developers are integrating these services. And so we launched Google Play Game Services in May of this year at Google I/O. And at that time, we had 32 launch partners. And we're happy to announce that just in that 2-month period of time since then, we've had more than 1,000 games that have now integrated the Google Play Game Services. And so that's something that we're very happy about. Even in that early time, we're still early on in this process, but developers are already getting a lot of value out of integrating these services. And we'll talk more about that. The key thing that we focus on, we want the services to be very valuable. We talk a lot to developers. We know what you're thinking about, how you're thinking about your businesses. What we hear over and over again is around user retention. So you have your users, how do you bring them back to your game? And we're really focusing on that more than anything with Google Play Game Services. Also, what we hear from developers is acquiring new users and having new services and tools and technologies that you can implement quickly without a ton of work. And so these are a lot of the driving principles for us in some of the value that we're seeing from our first developer partners for these new services. And so on the topic of driving user engagement, so Glue Mobile has been a great partner to us over a number of years. They integrated their hack and slash game, Eternity Warriors 2, is one of our launch partners in May. And they've seen great results just in this short period of time. And so following their integration of Google Play Game Services, they've seen a greater than 40% increase in their 7-day user retention. It's a very important metric for them, and so finding a way to increase that at this scale is something that's very valuable. Also, from an engagement standpoint, they're seeing a greater than 20% increase in play sessions per user per day. So retention is something that they focus on quite a bit. And so just even though we're early, we're 2 months in, it's great to see. It's really rewarding for us to see the value of the services that developers like Glue are seeing. And as a result, so that was the first game that they did. It's also probably noteworthy to say that for Trinity Warriors 2, they integrated the full suite of features that Greg had mentioned. And so they integrated achievements, leaderboards, cloud save, and multiplayer. In their case, it was a cooperative integration of multiplayer. And they've since integrated the services in a variety of the other titles. And they actually have an internal framework that integrates with Google Play Games. And they're now planning to integrate all of their titles going forward with our services. So it's a great example of an early partner that's getting a lot of value out of the services. And so next, on the topic of acquiring new users, a core focus of what Greg described was user discovery. So you have insight into what your friends are playing. Finding new games, installing new games is something that's quite important. Also, the notifications for real-time multiplayer is another great way for users to find your games, to find what other friends are inviting you to. And Battle Dragons is an example of a game just launched last week by Spacetime Games. And they're off to a great start. They're getting actually a fair bit of a pickup in terms of their installs. They're seeing a greater than 10% uplift in their installs per day, just driven by the Google Play Games app. And so there, we are seeing a benefit to developers that integrate the services in terms of, most importantly, retaining their users, but also acquiring new users as well. The third point that I had mentioned was the ability to implement quickly, to have easy-to-use services. And so going back to the period before our launch, we had spoke with Concrete Software, the developer of PBA Bowling Challenge. And at that time, they had a single-player experience in the game. They were looking to add multiplayer. And they had looked at competing options, many of which would have required multiple months of development and resource expense. And when they looked at our SDK, they were able to actually get it into the game and operational within a single day. Obviously, there's polish after that, but just going from a period of several months to a single day was something that we found just a really great case study of, we know how competitive mobile game development is. We know how fast moving it is. And so it's very important to have tools and tech from Google that allows you to move very quickly. And so that's a kind of a great case study on the part of Concrete Software. And then additionally, the community and a variety of technology partners have come in to support Google Play Game Services. And so, through a variety of third parties, it's easy to use, the tools and technologies that you're using today and find an easy way to implement the new services into your games. So with that, we've described the product. I'll describe some of the early developer implementations. How do you get started? For us here, so this is our essential Play Games resources. If anybody's taking photos, please make sure that you get this URL. It's developers.google.com/games/services. And so this is really the home for our getting started guide for Google Play Games and for Google Play Game Services. Here you'll find links to our SDKs, some best practices, our branding guidelines, and we'll continue to invest here because for us it's very important that developers learn more about these services. And then finally, if you want to get, if you do get stuck, there is help. So Stack Overflow is a resource that many of our developer relations teams invest a lot of time in. With the tag play-games, that's how to find out information about the game services from a technical perspective. And any bugs that you find, here is the URL for getting our attention for any of those issues. So.
Thanks, Bob. So to recap, Android allows you to reach an unprecedented audience of gamers. Some of the metrics we showed you today are evidence of that alone. The Google Play Games is a set of services that enhance your gameplay across features like achievements, leaderboards, cloud save, and real-time multiplayer. And we're seeing great evidence of improving user engagement, acquiring new users, and the ease of implementation to bring that all to fruition. So thank you for attending our session. That's all we have for you today. We'll take a few questions by mic, but Bob and I will be actually out in the wing here answering more specific questions afterwards, please come find us. We're happy to talk to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and I'll bring the microphone over to you. Okay, well, I'll start off with a question since the audience is a little bit shy, but talk to them afterwards. We all know about tablets and phones, but in the home there's a third screen, it's the TV, and now there's this concept of lightweight consoles that can be plugged in like sort of Ouya. What is your opinion or sort of Google's avenues into this particular space to the casual and mid-core audience that we have here?
I think the living room, as a prediction, you know, the entrance into the living room are evidence of the power of an open platform like Android. And we're seeing partners adopting Android and building fantastic living room experiences that way. And they'll also be able to use Play services and Google Play Games as a way of delivering games on those platforms as well. In the intervening time, mobile and tablet will continue to be very dominant.
We have a question.
Hi, we have a game, Epic Swords. We actually implemented the achievements with stuff, and I'm the author of a slightly infamous Stack Overflow post complaining that the achievements are not social, really, and not very visible. So I was interested in, it's been a little unclear what the interaction with the general Google Plus social sharing is versus with the dedicated app as far as like, you know, I understand it's a delicate balance, how public do you make stuff, how not. Can you just comment on that? Because the rest of the acquisition and social aspects of it was a big deal.
Absolutely. I think achievements, you can see the design is focused on a single player experience and driving engagement. So from that aspect, it's pretty clear. As we evolve the platform though, and given the power we have of reaching out to users in G+, I would predict that we would continue to evolve the achievement systems and all of our other systems to be able to reach out into a variety of tributaries that Google provides. G+ would just be one example.
That'd be great.
And if you have more specific feedback, I'd love to hear it offline.
Do we have any more questions for these gentlemen? Okay, well, thank you very much. And I'm sure if you're shy, they'll be standing outside to answer the questions personally. Thank you. Stick around.